It's the first law of thermodynamics. Energy can't be created or destroyed, but it can be changed. Good thing for these UVM students who are constructing a compost mound out of hay bales, wood chips, and tubing. This is the latest project from the UVM Clean Energy Fund, a $20 fee per student per year that subsidizes student-led sustainable energy projects on campus.
The students get a voice in how that money was going to be spent. So I thought that was a very interesting way because it allows a lot of grassroots ideas to come up from the student body, and then the students kind of vote on the ideas, and then the committee kind of vets them at the end. It's an opportunity for students to kind of get involved in some of the direction of how the campus is doing their sustainable energy.
For Holly Greenleaf, this project allows her to put into practice what she learns in the classroom.
I've learned a lot about living sustainably and renewable energies in my classes, but I've never really gotten the chance to actually get involved with any projects because a lot of times like solar or wind, like that technology is really complicated and it's hard to like break into that at this level. So this project I just thought was such an awesome opportunity. Like it provides heat to this greenhouse back here so students can grow vegetables all winter long, and just from a compost mound that produces heat. And so it's pretty simple, pretty easy to implement, a really good way to get students involved. Like anyone can help out. You don't really need any experience, and also involved gardening, which I love. And so yeah, I was really excited about it.
This composting method was invented by Jean Pain, a 20th century French innovator who developed bioenergy systems to supply 100% of his rural households' energy needs. No food scraps are used in this project, only wood chips from the UVM farm on Spear Street. What was once bedding for cows will now become energy to grow vegetables.
The cold weather climate potential of this technology is really exciting because growing food during the winter is a really hard thing and the propane costs are really high for greenhouses, and to have that option available in Vermont to have locally sourced food from locally sourced energy, to grow the food is a really, really great thing.
As the wood chips decompose, the microbes that do the composting process release heat. That heat energy is captured by heat exchange tubes embedded inside the mound that are filled with glycol, an antifreeze solution. The hot glycol is then transferred to a radiant tubing system in the floor that heats the greenhouse.
This whole project really is based on using existing materials to be able to produce something new. It's a full cycle embodied energy project where the wood chips and the fertilizer from the farm would otherwise be composted and put on the fields, but it's a relatively small percentage for the farm compared to what we're using here. All the repairs are all in kind, so we're only updating the panels. Nothing is new about the greenhouse except the radiant tubing system, which is inside. So what we're doing is we're repurposing, which is the only thing that you can really do with energy. And the students have caught on to that idea and said, fossil fuels are running out. They're not going to be there in the future. So what other ways can we generate heat? Well, this is one of the ways to generate heat with materials that would otherwise not be used for anything in particular.
Other byproducts of this project are its potential for research and leadership.
University of Vermont is a research institution, so this is exactly the kind of research that can be done here on campus with very low risk. If a farmer were to take this on, then the risk is much higher because he has to have some investment into it. So having this kind of opportunity on a campus allows for all the research information to be shared and the data to be available, and everybody can apply it and learn from it and modify it without having to take that risk onto themselves.
To me, it is fun. It's actually doing something. I mean, you actually find a lot of enjoyment when you actually start getting involved in the projects and seeing them through to the end. Every leadership position, gives you an opportunity to build and grow and get new experience. How this one will directly apply to my future in veterinary medicine, I don't necessarily know, but that's kind of most things in life. It's the unexpected that you're kind of preparing for usually. So
we'll try to get each layer to be
For other students, this is a good lesson in the difference between the classroom and the real world.
In theory, it all seems to work. So when you think about it in a classroom, it's, that's a great idea. Everybody should be doing this. But then once you get down to actually implementing it, you understand what the constraints are in the system and, why everybody isn't doing this all over the world yet. And that's a really valuable experience to see how practical this technology is and where and how it can be implemented. After going through this whole process, I can understand, all those things that you have to think through and consider that you would never understand through the classroom experience. It's only something that you would understand by going through each step and trying to implement it.
All this from a few wood chips, some sweat equity, and $20 a head. At the University of Vermont, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.